Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Steve with the Urban Worm Company, and this is another episode of Coffee and Compost. I was asked this week by a reader about whether he should use cedar wood chips in his worm bin. And so this seems like a really simple question, but in a way it's actually a two-part question. The first issue deals with wood chips, and in general I love using wood chips in a worm bin, not as a sole worm bedding, if you will, not as the sole carbon source, but it's something that can sort of help break up that vermicompost, especially as it gets maybe towards the bottom. If you're using a continuous flow bin like the Urban Worm Bag or anything else, if you have that wood chip in there, it helps keep things aerobic. Something with a large particle size like that keeps things from getting too compacted. So I really like the idea of using wood chips in a worm bin. I'm a little less convinced about using cedar wood chips in a worm bin, and here's why. Cedar is used in a lot of outdoor applications and in a lot of ways where you want a wood that does not rot. So it has a lot of anti-rot properties because it has some antimicrobial properties too. And for those of you that have been doing vermicomposting for a while, probably know the magic of vermicomposting is actually the microbiology, the bacteria and the fungi that are in vermicompost. So we want to promote that. So we may not want to introduce cedar into a worm bin. Now, there's a few caveats here. It doesn't mean, the fact that it's antimicrobial doesn't necessarily mean it is toxic to anything in your worm bin. The other thing, too, is there are worm bins out there, particularly one made in Canada, a small company called Box of Life. It's a beautiful-looking worm bin. It is made from cedar. And he seems to be doing just fine with it, and his customers seem to like it as well. So the fact that it is antimicrobial doesn't mean that you cannot have any cedar in your worm bin. The issue with something like wood chips is the fact that you now have a lot more surface area. It's not just the walls it's not just the walls of the worm bin that are cedar. It's now wood chips that are spread throughout. So you have a lot more exposed surface area in that worm bin when it comes to cedar. So really, I don't think that it would necessarily be harmful, but if you have any other options for wood chips other than cedar, I would use those. So thanks for that question. I appreciate it. I hope this was helpful, guys, and I'll see you on the next episode of Coffee and Compost.